I'm so thrilled to welcome to the program for the first time. We've spoken on other occasions. Eric Trump, the son of former President Trump and the executive vice president of the Trump Organization. Hey, good to see you.
It's good to be on, Trish.
So, wow, lots going on. Let's start first in New Hampshire and some of these rallies. You know, we're seeing, again, a lot of enthusiasm. Your dad is way ahead in the polls. He's been pulling ahead in the polls, proving that I guess some of the legal stuff going on isn't quite panning out the way maybe some people had hoped. What do you feel right now in this stage in the game? Where do you think you are?
Listen, I feel like you have an entire country right now that misses Donald Trump. I can't get on a plane on any given day where I don't have 10 people come up to me and say, we miss your father. We absolutely love him. The country's going in terrible direction. I mean, there's no one knows the business world better than you, Trish. And look at every metric there is out there. Look at consumer confidence. Look at inflation, the price of everything. No one's talking about oil and gas right now, which is kind of surprising because oil and gas is starting to go through the roof again. And, you know, I think people have been so kind of desensitized to high prices across everything. Look at the price of eggs. Look at the price of a 2x4 versus when my father was in there. Again, you're running in certain categories of goods. You've got, 15, 20, 30% inflation. Overall inflation is, high single digits. That really, really hurts. And by the way, that hurts the class of people that Biden pretends to care about the most, which is, kind of the lower and middle class, right? People who have less assets that otherwise kind of inflate in value with inflation. People that are renting apartments, people who are living day to day, that hurts them substantially more than ever before. And frankly, inflation's outpacing wages in this country. So you've got that problem. You've got just the embarrassment of the national stage where you have China that's going around the world. They want to be literally the negotiators, the arbitrators of conflict around the world. Wasn't that always America's place? Wasn't that what people always looked to us to do, right? I mean, isn't that why the United Nations is always in New York? Yet President Xi is literally going out trying to broker peace between Russia and Ukraine. I mean, you have wars breaking out all over the world. People don't respect us anymore. We're about to lose the U.S. currency. Biden spends more time worried about transgender bathrooms than he does, about all the problems.
So that's mind-boggling to me. I mean, you bring up so many good points, and I've been saying this forever on the show, like inflation. All of his policies have been so driven towards creating more inflation. And frankly, they didn't do a darn thing to kind of contain the energy situation. I remember when your dad bought oil for the SPR, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, and it was like dirt cheap, and he filled it up, and the Democrats were so angry. They said this was a giveaway to oil companies. And I'm like, yeah, you needed that, didn't you? Because, Biden keeps draining the SPR whenever he can. Like we have major economic problems. We have major international problems. You made the point that he's focused on all these social issues, which frankly, I don't think are going to get them that far. You look at even Hillary Clinton. She got very criticized for this, but she said, hey, like this is not a winning issue. Parents aren't going to go for this. So why does he double down?
I have no idea. I mean, it's actually lunacy. I mean, some of the social issues that they're pushing relative to the issues at hand, which affect every single person, is crazy. I mean, yesterday with, again, wars about to break out all over the world, what's happening in Russia, Ukraine, what's happening between China and Taiwan and all that, he comes out and he announces that, congratulations, the U.S. military, we'd like them to all be all electric. How do you run fighter jets on batteries? I guarantee you they don't go all that fast. How do you... where do you charge batteries in the middle of a desert? You have another, war in the Middle East. You're in the middle of Afghanistan, some valley somewhere. Where do you plug in your Humvee or your tank to charge it? It's insane. I mean, it's truly, truly insane. And this is the crap that they're worried about right now. And while you have, again, an economy that's totally failing, while we're being disrespected all around the world, one of the things that's really kind of personal to me is what's happening to U.S. currency. If we lose the United States currency, that's it for this country. And you have 18 countries now or 19 countries that are totally happy getting off, we're spending trillions of dollars. We're handing out money to everybody around the world while not actually taking care of ourselves. Our infrastructure's failing. We've just become an embarrassment. And that's what my father's running on. My father's it's not Democrat versus Republican. It's common sense. Let's restore the might of America. Let's restore respect for America. Let's restore common sense to society. And that's what he's fighting. And Trish, they're trying to take him down every single day. They've weaponized the entire system. They've weaponized every district attorney, every attorney general in every single state. They couldn't get him through the executive branch. We all saw that, right? It failed every single time. So guess what they try and do? They weaponize these Democratic lunatic, attorney generals and district attorneys who Want to go back to 2006 where he paid an NDA to somebody who admitted, that same person admitted that the thing never actually happened, $130,000 NDA, but yet they'll spend $200 million shutting down New York to bring Donald Trump in. They'll shut down every intersection. They'll shut down the FDR Drive. They'll shut down, blocks and blocks around Trump Tower. They'll bring up 38,000 members of the NYPD. They'll bring them all into work over what? $100,000 NDA from 18 years ago? No one buys this nonsense anymore, but this is their playbook. This is how they play. This is how they try and disqualify Donald Trump, who's leading the polls by 35% over his nearest.
Yeah, no, it scares them. Eric, the Hunter Biden laptop, you remember that was like no-go territory. So many journalist organizations, including the New York Post, which had reported on it, really got hammered. And in fact, in some cases, other social media accounts taken offline. It's fascinating to me because there was a letter from all these, ex-CIA folks saying, oh, this was, totally Russian disinformation. This was the same crowd, of course, that said what we now know was disinformation, the dossier. They said that was real. And so I just question, when we go into 24 here, like, how difficult is that to navigate as a campaign for your dad when you've got the establishment saying, okay, this is true when it's actually false, and this is false when it's actually true?
Well, listen, I think the government's lost so much credibility. If I went back, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not a guy who wears a tinfoil hat.
Right.
If I was to play this story back 6 years ago and I was to tell you all these things that were going to happen, that, the FBI and campaigns and Hillary Clinton were going to pay for a dossier that said that Trump was colluding with Russia, I'd never believe it. I'd say, give me a break. That, former CIA guys, 51 of them to be exact, were going to come out and, write a story that the Biden laptop, the Hunter Biden laptop, was disinformation when it has pictures of the guy with prostitutes doing illegal drugs, has emails from the guy's Gmail account or whatever the hell it was, to people all over the world extracting money. Trish, if I did 1/1000th of that, I would be in jail for the rest of my life. And the fact that they've been able to cover this up, the fact that he's lying on firearms forms, 4477s, that he's not in possession of drugs, he's not doing drugs. If I did that, I'd be in jail under all of those statutes. But he gets a free pass. Right now, he's selling $500,000 finger painting, his finger painting art.
I know.
It's not that people in the U.S. are buying this crap. Who's buying it? The Chinese and the various people who want to otherwise have influence. And everybody.
Yeah, no, it's wild stuff, and it's a tricky thing for you, for you and your siblings, because anything you do is going to be looked at through that prism of, oh, is he getting a special favor? But for some reason, I'm perplexed that they never look at the other side in the same way. Tucker Carlson out at Fox News. Your reaction?
Well, I think Tucker's a good man, and he had an amazing voice, and he really called things, I think, incredibly fairly, right? I mean, he wasn't partisan. There were things that, frankly, I disagreed with on his show, but it actually made you want to tune in. It made you want to tune in. He was great. He was a great voice for conservatives. He's got an amazing future. I never saw that one coming. In a million years, I never saw that coming. And I got to know Tucker very well, as you clearly did. And he's a great person. And I think his future is going to be incredibly bright. I think he's got an incredible audience. In a certain way, I think Fox maybe even empowered him to have a larger audience than he otherwise did, because it's crazy. The people who they try and suppress, the Joe Rogans of the world, the Donald Trumps of the world, the people that they try and beat into the ground, for some reason always come out kind of on top. And it's remarkable. There's a credibility that's gained as soon as the system kind of piles on them. And I think you're seeing that with Tucker. You certainly saw that with my father. I mean, my father has more credibility having gone through the Russia hoax, having been impeached once, been impeached twice over the nonsense, having them go after his Supreme Court justices, make up horrible allegations that were totally false, right? Everything he says about the deep state now really kind of resonates true. He was right. He was right that they were spying on his campaign. He was right that there was no Russia collusion and this whole thing was made up by another political party. And in a certain way, it gives you chips. And I think that very same thing has happened with Tucker. He's going to have an awesome future. I think he's going to be a great voice in the Republican Party for a long time to come, and just for conservatives in general. And frankly, for common sense, as I said. It's not even about Democrats versus Republicans. It's about common sense. And
I think that's why your dad got elected. I mean, the common sense that he put forward, and it wasn't, and I remember, because, I'm a policy wonk. I read every single tax policy from every candidate. I mean, no offense against Ted Cruz, but your dad's was better. I think he had a VAT tax in there. I read every single one, every single word, and I was like, wow, this is good. Like, this is good economic policy.
And now you're looking at administration. I can't believe this. There's a great article yesterday about how, the higher your FICO score is, the more interest you should pay on a mortgage. And I'm sitting there saying, Trish, this can't be serious. I mean, so, I pay every single credit card early. I pay my mortgage on time. I do X, Y, and Z, right? I'm perfectly responsible, never miss a bill, never have any kind of default. I have a 800 credit score or whatever it is. You mean to tell me I should be paying more than the person who doesn't pay their credit card? You can't make up this narrative. You're literally going to have people who have perfect credit scores before they refinance their house, default on a credit card on purpose to screw up their credit score, only to get a lower interest rate on their home, only to then pay their. You literally can't.
It's crazy. It's socialist, really, or it's a wealth transfer. It's kind of a tax. Call it what you want, but it's bonkers in terms of the policy. And I hope Republicans can strike that down. I know they're working on it, but it's supposed to start like now. A lot of bad things happening for sure. And I think Americans are hungry for change, and they're going to do a lot to try and suppress your dad. Quickly, just before I let you go, because I always wonder about this, you have a wonderful family. I know your wife, and she's just fantastic. Your whole family, by the way, really, really just a great group of people. What has this been like? And if you could turn back the clock, would you have not gone down the escalator? Would you have not engaged in any of this? Because again, I just think it's tough from a personal perspective. You must have Teflon there, because it's hard to deal with. Eric, what is it like on a personal level?
I'll never forget my father saying when we first jumped into the race, he goes, we're going to learn who our real friends are quickly. And I think it was maybe the most insightful thing that he ever said. This was in his office 3 days before he went down that escalator, right when he kind of announced to us that he wanted to do this. But he goes, you're going to find out who your true friends are. And we have. I would have never imagined in a million years the corruption, the nonsense, how they're willing to lie, cheat, and steal, how they're willing to slander a family, how they're willing to go after you when you've lived a perfectly clean, beautiful, innocent life. Thank God, by the way, we had. It's tough as hell, and Trish. And for every single arrow that the public has seen us take, I'm telling you, we've taken 100 behind the scenes that the public hasn't seen. But we love this country. We absolutely love this country. And I'm telling you, I look at the other Republicans that are running right now. These guys wouldn't last in that gunfight for 3 seconds. The other side would bankrupt them.
Why not?
They would destroy them. They couldn't put up the fight. It took a guy like Donald Trump, who didn't care, who had everything he needed in life, who had many billions of dollars behind his name, who could afford to fight this nonsense off. We've spent hundreds of millions of dollars worth of legal fees fighting nonsense, absolute nonsense. The whole Russia hoax, look how much money we spent on that. Then we find out that Hillary funded the thing. We go and we sue Hillary for it, and the judge sanctions us for suing somebody who bankrolled something that literally took down our nation for 3 years, that destroyed our country, that created divisiveness between the two largest nuclear superpowers in the world. It was proven. The FBI proved it. We went after her. We sued her for this. And guess what? We get sanctioned for it. But it takes a guy like Donald Trump, who has backbone and who has the ability monetarily to do this. Any of these other guys, they will break in a second. And that's how they flip them into rhinos. A lot of these people go into government with the greatest intentions in the world. And then the system piles on. But the difference is they don't have Donald Trump's ability to fight against the system. Again, they don't have the money, nor do they have the backbone to do it. And they immediately cave.
And that's a fighter.
And honestly, Chris, that's
you guys are too.
They become different people. And so it's the greatest thing in the world that he did it. My father's the greatest man in the world. I've never been more proud of him. As many arrows as I've personally taken, and Laura's taken, my kids have taken, and Don and Ivanka, and Barron and Melania, and everybody else, I will be the first person by his side. I will fight like hell. And I promise you, Trish, we're gonna beat these guys again. We better. Otherwise, I truly believe in my heart of hearts, and I'm not saying this because I'm an alarmist, we will not have a country. So
yeah, no, a lot at stake, Eric Trump, thank you so much.
Thanks, Trish.